I have a respect for all forms of creative expression, in the visual arts particularly. Um, but there's something that I find troubling. I came across a video, and I'm not going to put this person on blast because I believe that they're more than likely a good human being, albeit a very angry human being. And the video talked about not creating art that was created for the white gaze. And it spoke very disparagingly about a white audience and white expectations as far as her art. Um, if you haven't guessed, she is a young black artist, and I think it hit me because of some of the things that she said were things that I believed at one time until I got beyond the limits of a black world. And here's the thing. I find that a concept or an idea or an energy in its purest form tends to be the strongest and most far-reaching energy. Um, and I'm not going to go political because this is an art channel, but art is political, art is social, art is many things. When you have a Black American, you have a certain privilege and you have things that are detriments. When you are a white American, you have certain privileges and certain detriments. When you are an Asian American, you have certain privileges and certain detriments. And the existence of each is not without consequence or privilege. When you are an American, you tend to have all of the powers at your disposal because you're not limited by the scope of what is the expectation of your particular category. I think the same holds true as an artist. When you are an artist and you are able to create work that speaks to many people, then you've done something special. And that's not to say that black art isn't special, but it is to say this: it's very culturally specific. So when you hear these decrees of um, stop looking at art through a white gaze, this is all wonderful. This is all fine and dandy until we start realizing that we're working 2 and 3 jobs because our black audience isn't buying our work. And I say this as a black person. Your family, and I say this with much respect, is whoever will show the greatest declaration of value to what you do. And that generally is money. In the moment that you as a black artist begin to think, why isn't anybody buying my art? Well, you've already sold out. Because if it was truly about just the creation of the work and do what you do, then you wouldn't complain about about getting what you get. And this is a hard, hard truth. You have lofty ideas that sound good. You have um, things that you speak of with much passion that are virtuous, but ultimately, our world generally tends to be decided by who will invest monetarily in what you create. And I've gone through so many phases. People have wondered, okay, well, why don't you create traditional black art? I don't know what that means. And I think, for the longest, I tried to reconcile with that. I don't know that I don't make black art. I think I look at creating work through the lens of how I look at being an American. I have the full command of powers at my disposal. I am able to make any art that I want. And whether I consider that it's from these black hands or whether I'm not thinking about my black hands, they're still coming from these hands. And the creation itself and the act of creating is far more important to me than a category. I don't condemn people that are, um, nationalists when it comes to their identity. You know, there's people that are very, very pro whatever they are, whether you're pro black, pro white, um, pro woman, pro man. You can be pro, but to expect the same outcome as a universally minded person is absolutely absurd. And I'm normally not this forceful when I speak, but I'm trying to save people from themselves because ultimately what happens is confusion en route to their career as an insurance agent or a customer service rep. Once they figure out the truth and they get beaten down by the reality that they've created. There's no one right way to do something. But when you're wanting a certain outcome, but you take the scenic route, you can't ask why it takes longer to get to where you're going. And there are alternatives. If you are an artist that does not want your work to be looked at, if you are a black artist and you don't want your work to be looked at through a white gaze, then you have to understand what comes with your commitment to your culturally specific art. Your culture may appreciate you, but ultimately, if they're not investing in you, monetarily speaking, then you'll have a hard time creating the work. And I believe that you can do what you want to do as long as you change the trajectory of what you're expecting to happen as a result. Now, you do have a choice. Black people have a choice as well. If you are fed up with the gaze of others that are not black and you want your black art world, then you have to build your black art infrastructure. You have to have people that are willing to do the same as other groups of people as far as a dedicated monetary investment to the perpetuation of art. And if you don't have that, you are simply entertainment for people that don't really believe in you. They're buying into the wine and cheese of it. And, you know, many groups of people do that. More often than not, people go to art shows to be seen and see people. The majority don't go to buy work. That's in all cultures. But when you have a culture that um, that historically, for whatever reason, doesn't buy art, then you have to make a a decision as to what means what to you. If the adoration of your people, of your race, means more to you than their investment in what you do monetarily, then you cannot have the same monetary results. And that's vice versa. So when I see angry black artists and they're venomous towards their white counterparts, I ask this question, and it's very, very it will burn. The question is, if you hate the Eurocentric paradigm, why haven't we created our own? If you hate the structure and the rules of the structure, why haven't you created your own, especially when nobody is telling you not to? There will be challenges in creating your own structure. But the double talk has got to end. Some of the angriest of black people and black artists that vehemently say disparaging things about white people is non-productive. And it isn't that white people are God. It's that you can't be taken serious with your white anger or with your black anger while asking for white money. It's as simple as that. You cannot express your black anger while they're giving forums and facilities for you to show. You can't get angry when you look up and your work is being featured and in some cases purchased by white patrons because they're doing something that your own community isn't doing, which is why you're working as a customer service agent. And I don't say that to be snarky or hateful or mean. There's certain things that are reality and there's simple reality. And then there's things that are more um, abstract concepts that don't readily exist. And one of those things that doesn't always exist within the Black community is true, genuine support amongst one another. You have choices. You have options, most of which take effort. I'd love to know what you think. This is your guy, the Brave Artist, talking about a very touchy subject when it comes to race and art. Share, like, and subscribe and let others know about this small but dedicated channel. Until the next time, take care.